So, Assalamu alaikum everyone and a very good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Why Studying Humanities and Social Sciences Matter in an AI-Driven Future. My name is Hera Sajjad. I'm Senior Recognition Manager for Cambridge, Pakistan. I'm joined by my colleague Nabia Manyar, who is Manager Recognitions for Sindh and Balochistan. And it's our pleasure to host this session as a part of our ongoing webinar series for counselors, students, and parents exploring higher education pathways. We will begin with a brief overview of the recognitions function. Our function ensures our qualifications are acknowledged by universities in Pakistan and internationally. It supports and facilitates students' progression from schools to university by bridging the gap between secondary and higher education. We work closely with universities and other educational stakeholders to align academic pathways and ensure students develop the skills and knowledge required for success in both academic and professional settings. Additionally, the function also raises awareness of existing and emerging university programs, helping students make informed decisions about their future study options. And as a part of our support offer, we run a monthly webinar series where we share insights into the admission policies, requirements, and trends of leading universities, including those in emerging study destinations. So lastly, before I move towards the session and introduce our speakers, a few housekeeping guidelines that I want all of you to adhere with. Please keep your microphones muted at all times and also your cameras off. Questions will be taken towards the end of the session, but you may want to post them during the session as well, so you can use the chat option. Our webinars are recorded and the recording will be shared with all the participants. Also to let you know that these webinars are conducted for free and therefore we do not offer any certifications for them. So moving towards the session itself, we are honored today to be joined by distinguished faculty members from the Mushtaq Ahmad Gurmani School of Humanities and Social Sciences at LUMS. We are joined by Dr. Ali Khan, who is the Dean of the Social Sciences School and Professor Anthropology. Dr. Ali Raza, he is the Chair, Department of Humanities and Social Sciences and Associate Professor of History, and Dr. Tanya Said, Stream Director, Anthropology and Sociology, and Associate Professor of Sociology. Thank you so much for being with us. So I would now like to invite Dr. Ali Khan to introduce LUMS and share an overview of School of Humanities and Social Sciences. And help us understand how the school's interdisciplinary philosophy resonates with Cambridge educational values, especially in the context of an AI-driven world. So over to you, Dr. Khan.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to speak to students and other audience outside. I'm going to speak very briefly, actually. I don't want to take up too much time. I'm sure my colleagues and everyone else would have things to say as well. But I'm going to give a very short overview of, well, not so much LUMS, but our particular school. As you mentioned, we are the School of Humanities and Social Sciences. And I was thinking about it yesterday. It's LUMS is going into its 40th year now. So it's, you know, on the one hand, it's quite a long time, but, you know, for many universities, 40 years is actually a short period of time. So we are 40 years old, but the Gurmani school became an independent school in 2012, really. Although we've been offering majors in social sciences from the early 2000s. So it's been a good 20 years or so that we've been offering majors in humanities and social sciences. But in 2012, based really on demand from our students, we began to offer a much broader range of disciplines. And I recall that when I joined now over 20 years ago, there must have been 5 or 6 faculty members that used to teach in humanities and social sciences. But today we are, you know, almost 90 PhDs in humanities and social sciences. With 1,500 students, 2 departments, humanities, social sciences on the one hand and economics on the other, and 60 PhDs only in the area of humanities and social sciences alone. So we are the largest undergraduate school in LUMS now, and I think people don't realize that. I think LUMS still has its reputation of being a business school, but we are the largest school now at LUMS by some distance. And as you can see from the screen, we offer majors in the areas given below: anthropology and sociology, politics, English, history, comparative literature and creative arts, economics. Then we've got interdisciplinary majors in politics and economics as well. And I'm just going to point out two of the most recent entrants, one being economics, computer and data sciences, which is a new major, and psychology, which is also a new major. Again, we started these off because there's been so much demand for them among students that we felt that this was something that we really had to move towards. And apart from these majors, we also do minors in all of these areas, but also in environmental studies, in religious studies, in gender and sexuality studies, and in philosophy. But I want to move a little bit beyond the majors that we offer and talk a little bit about the ethos of the school, which really is that we follow what is known as a liberal arts model. And what a liberal arts model does is that it stresses a very strong core of interdisciplinary knowledge. And this is something that the school has put in place itself. Because we feel that no matter what our students study as a major, which is where they get the depth of knowledge from, but no matter what they study as their major, they must come out of their degree with certain critical and essential skills. And those skills will include digital skills. It'll include critical thinking, which is something that we focus on a lot. Both qualitative and quantitative analysis, and strong reading, writing, and communication skills. So our core ensures that all students, whether you're doing history, whether you're doing economics, whether you're doing anthropology or English, will come out with these core skills. One more thing I'd really like to stress a little bit upon is that because most of our disciplines are grounded in global and local societies, in cultural, historical, and contemporary knowledge, it crucially ensures that our students will graduate with an understanding of the very real challenges that we face today. And those challenges are going to include things like poverty, inequality, issues of gender, climate change, all the way through to the loss of heritage, and to sort of collapsing and changing political systems. And I think that leads to what the vision of this particular school is, and I'm just going to read that out for you, is to prepare and nurture principled, intellectually engaged, and socially responsible citizens of the world. And I think really that is what aligns with Cambridge's educational philosophy. You want engaged students. So, in summary, I'd like to say that today the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences stands as the most outstanding department worldwide that produces work in the humanities and social sciences as pertaining to Pakistan. So, if you're looking at Iqbal's philosophy all the way through to Islamophobia, if you're looking at cricket all the way through to women in police, if you're looking at minority rights through to populism, there is research that is ongoing in the school that is covering all of this. It's really made a name for itself. And just as an example, in the next few months, we have a conference coming up on cricket. We have a conference coming up on the Mughals. And we have the largest conference on humanities and social sciences in Asia through our hosting of the annual Association of Asian Studies Conference, and that's in September. So that's a short introduction to the school. And of course, we can take more questions if needed, but I'll stop at that point, I think.
Thank you so much, Dr. Khan, for setting the tone of the session. So with regards to, you mentioned about the skills that we want to instill in Cambridge students, if you could just share that which area of Cambridge A-level preparation do you feel schools should focus on to help students excel in a AI-driven learning environment at university?
So I think, one of the main things that we've got to realize is that if you want to succeed in academia, the most important thing is a love of learning. And I think, I say that, and I say it in a way that I feel that that's something that has been lost over the years. It's not something that we promote, particularly even in schools. So what we find is a lot of students who get pushed into subjects that they really don't have an aptitude or an interest for, but they're told that, oh, well, you've got good prospects in these particular disciplines, and that's even before you reach university. Even if when you're at your A levels, you get pushed into disciplines where you are not interested, where you're not really, you don't have an aptitude and you don't have that love of learning. And if you don't have a love of learning, then I think you're always going to struggle. So I think that is where we've got to start with. We've got to ensure that our students go into disciplines that they really enjoy, and to realize, and I'm sure there's going to be more talk about this, that no matter what field you go into, and no matter what undergraduate degree you will choose, you have the same essential job prospects, whether you're going to be doing English or whether you're going to be doing accounting. All of these should be providing you with essential skills. And I'll take up just a few minutes here. What are those essential skills? I would start with, as I was saying, a love of learning, which brings about curiosity, right? If you're not curious, if you're not wanting to learn, then it becomes a chore. It becomes something that is difficult, just something that you have to do. But those who are curious about knowledge and want to learn more, that becomes really, really important, becomes a driving factor, I think. So you need to have curiosity for knowledge. You mentioned digital skills, and I think digital skills obviously are important in our world today. But we need to qualify that also. I think digital skills are being taught in history as much as they are in English, as much as they are in these humanities subjects, as they are in STEM subjects now. So obviously digital skills are important, but what we tend to forget now, and increasingly so, is digital skills, and the stress on digital skills doesn't mean that you don't cover the basics. And by basics, I'm going to say very basic things: reading and writing. If you don't stress on reading and writing, I think everything else is going to struggle. You're going to struggle with everything else. So if you're looking at the kinds of subjects you want to go into, you do want to go into a subject that you're interested in at A level. You also want to go into a subject that is going to make you read and write. Don't shy away from that, because it is by reading that we train the mind to think. And it is by writing that we actually learn how to communicate. I think these things are very important. When you write, you're thinking about what you're writing. Your brain is interacting with what you're writing. So the process of writing becomes essential to critical thinking. The process of reading becomes essential to learning how to ask questions. So I think these things are really important. I would stress on going into subjects that you find are interesting. I would stress on subjects that are going to make you read and write. And I think that is my basic advice to students at this point. And I'm sure we're going to have a further conversation on this, but that is my basic advice for students: to look for subjects, and you'll get them in humanities and social science related ones, whether history or English or global studies. All of these are going to be things that are going to make you think, they're going to make you write, they're going to make you question. So I think those are really important.
Thank you, Dr. Ali. So we have Ali Reza and Tanya Saeed on the speakers panel as well. Would you like to contribute to this question?
I'm happy to. And a few things came to my mind as my colleague Ali Khan was speaking. I'll just more or less add to what he was saying. And I want to add to what he was saying by pointing out that, and we have increasingly found this over the years, that there is that that some of us, many of our students, are excellent kind of like students in the sense of being excellent exam like takers. And so the preparation of the students for sitting for exams and giving exams is excellent. But that does not always correlate with and translate into being like excellent learners and excellent thinkers. And there, I would just want to echo what Ali Khan just said, which is to say that that love of learning, that curiosity that comes with a broad kind of reading and consistent writing, does not always come with success in exams. And I sometimes feel that sometimes we over prepare our students to give like certain types of exams, which test particular skills, especially like memorization, and we tend to focus less on other skills. And I cannot emphasize those skills enough. So if there's one maybe unsolicited advice that I would like to offer with all humility, especially to our like schools and school counselors, I would really humbly submit that it would be wonderful if we were to focus on, a broader reading, especially when it comes to, students in A levels, and instilling a love for reading. In addition to obviously what they are being prepared for, which is to qualify and excel in certain subjects for which they are exams. The next thing that I would say, if I may, is that I also want to make a distinction between specialization and being, well, a distinction between being a specialist and between and being and passing through a well-rounded education. I think that many of the degrees and many of the subjects that we train students in, they enable students to become excellent technicians. They enable students to become excellent specialists. But those technicians and specialists are for very specific lines of work. And I feel that what humanities and social sciences, what they open up in particular, is again an introduction and an exposure to the broader world. We equip students with certain skill sets that are again not specific to any one field of employment, but actually they are crucial to a range of jobs out there in the market. And this is especially crucial given the economy that all of us are in, which is to say that we don't really know what the job market of the future will look like. And so the job market for a student who is training in accounting, for example, may look very different 10 years down the line, especially with increasing machine learning and the use of artificial intelligence. But the kind of skill sets that we equip students with, which is quite simply the ability to ask like good questions, which is the ability to think broadly, which is this ability to kind of like think creatively, and I emphasize creatively, through and out of a problem. That kind of skill set is not always easily replicable by any machine. And I say that specifically why? Because the title of your webinar is, again, the importance of humanities and social sciences in the age of AI. And increasingly, as I've been teaching students ever since ChatGPT came about, I'm more and more convinced again of the value of the humanities and social sciences in enabling kind of like our students to think creatively through and outside of a problem, which is very different from the regular training that we give in many universities across Pakistan, which again is training students for specific jobs. We don't really know whether those jobs will exist in the future or not. But what we do know and what we are confident about is that with this skill of critical thinking, with the skill of creative problem solving, and with this critical skill of expression, students that we train today will be able to excel in any range of basically jobs, many years down the line, which are not easily replicable by AI. So I think I'll end there. I have more to say on that, but I think that maybe Tanya could have something to add over here as well. And maybe I could return to this point in a bit. Thank you.
Yes, I'll also jump in here. So sort of just adding to what Dr. Professor Khan and Dr. Ali Raza just shared, I think what's important for schools and especially for teachers, if I may, given how we've the kind of students I've met at LUMS, there is an obsession with grades. So what we call a form of grade fetishization, which really kills curiosity. And this is coming from the kind of training, sadly, students are getting in school. So it is important to mention that. For instance, in my courses and my sort of classes, there's a lot of unlearning that needs to take place for students to actually relearn or sort of become excited again about what they're learning. So, and a lot of this obsession with A grade, A stars, all of this in a way just kills any form of curiosity and even sort of, prevents students from challenging themselves. So what I've seen with students, and I think this is important also for the students who are attending this webinar, when you go to class, you're not supposed to know everything because then there's no point in you being there. And the reason why students assume they need to know everything is because they want to excel rather than be challenged and learn something new. So for students who are coming to LUMS, and I hope, to see many of you here, you need to, when you come here, you need to be open to challenging yourself and taking courses in subjects you never thought you would take. And humanities and social sciences sort of broadens that perspective for you, right? Because you saw the range of courses we offer, the range of disciplines we have. And that's, we've had students who thought coming from A levels that they wanted to do computer sciences, they take other courses and they realize actually their calling, their passion is for something different. And as Dr. Raza also mentioned, the skills that you gain from a humanities and social sciences degree will take you, will open up different options for you in the future. So I really don't think students should be limiting themselves when they're applying. I think there's so many options and they should, be open to challenging themselves, even when they're not sure if it's a subject that they may or may not excel in, but it's, this is what learning is all about. So I'll just, so I hope sort of, promoting that strand of thinking around curiosity, the students also learn that it's important to challenge themselves. I'll stop here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tanya. So, based on what you have said, if you or any of the speakers could highlight if there are any misconceptions that students or the parent community hold about studying humanities and social sciences, and how do you address them?
I start with that. I think the first fear and the biggest fear that students have is the job market, right? They're just afraid, like, what is the point of doing a degree in history or sociology? What kind of jobs will be out there once they graduate? And the irony is, and also this entire fear around AI coming in, and will they have the skills that they have, will they be useful later on? The irony, as Dr. Raza also mentioned, is that the skills that they're learning through a degree in history or sociology or anthropology or psychology, or any of the humanities and social sciences, will equip them to deal with any kind of job that they enter into. So our students go into, the civil services, to acting, there's students who are part of the World Bank. There's students who go into the corporate sector. So, the skills you need to excel in these jobs is something that only comes from a humanities and social sciences degree. And a lot of the kind of, not to downplay any other degree, I don't mean to, obviously there's a bias here, but not to say that other degrees aren't important, but I think given AI and the kind of, the level at which data analysis has taken a different, it's just going in a different direction. You need human intelligence to be able to work with artificial intelligence, and that human intelligence can only come through a humanities and social sciences degree. As far as I'm concerned, I don't think you see that kind of training anywhere else. So I'll stop.
I'd like to add
jump in. Okay, sorry, Ali, go ahead.
Sorry, Ali. I'd just like to add a little bit to what Dr. Tanya has been saying. I absolutely agree. I think there are two things here that we need to keep in mind. On the one hand, there's an intrinsic benefit to those who are studying humanities and social sciences. I think that if you end up in a society where you don't have people who have some grounding in humanities and social sciences, I think your society is really going to struggle, as we've seen. no matter how good your engineers are, no matter how good your business people are, unless there is a climate of tolerance and inclusivity, no one is going to come to Pakistan, right? I mean, you're not going to get any investment, you're not going to have any businesses here. And so there's an intrinsic benefit to humanities and social sciences, which is going to keep your society alive and in a sense, flourishing. So you need desperately that kind of input. I also think that, if you're going to look at artificial intelligence, which is what everyone is talking about, if you don't ask the right questions, then you're going to have massive problems, including problems of ethics, right? We've already seen how ChatGPT has apparently, or one of these platforms has apparently helped someone commit suicide. So, we need to be able to ask the right questions. We need to be able to, to have a grounding in ethics as far as technology goes. So I think certainly there are those concerns that we have. Secondly, I think it is really important to understand that as Tanya was saying, humanities and social sciences gives you essential skills and skills that are what we refer to transferable, meaning that they can be used in multiple jobs. We don't prepare today people for specific jobs that they'll do for the rest of their lives. It doesn't work like that anymore. It did generations ago. You'd come into one job and that's all that you would do for the rest of your life. But that's not how things happen anymore. The world is changing so quickly. The requirements for your skills are changing so quickly that it doesn't make sense to have a specific skill that is going to last you for ages. So what you want are these transferable skills. And by that, I'm talking about critical thinking, how you're going to ask the questions, good writing skills, things like the ability to work with others, things like cultural sensitivity, because we live in a global world today, excellent presentation skills, self-directed work ethic. You need to be able to push yourself to work, I think. So these become the skills that you actually are going to need. And I think humanities and social sciences is ideally positioned to provide you those skills. So I was reading recently in the Financial Times that people who are going into consultancies are being asked to do, artificial intelligence kind of, questions and how to use it, etc. And what they found is that more and more of the consultancies want people from humanities and social sciences because those are the people who know which questions to ask, right? I mean, if you don't have any question, if you don't have questions to ask, no matter what artificial intelligence you have, it's not going to be any good to you. In fact, it's going to be dangerous because you are handing over so much control to a machine without those ethics at all. So I go back to the fact that the best preparation isn't memorization anymore, which is what we've been doing for years and years in our education system. It is adaptability, and it is the basic transferable skills that I've actually just mentioned. So I think that is what we really want to push towards, those transferable skills. And I think if you have them, then you're going to be able to survive in any of the jobs that are coming up. If you think about it, in 10 years' time, many of the jobs today's students will hold don't even exist yet. Right? We don't know. In 10 years, you're going to have new jobs in place. You can tell me whether even 5 years ago, we thought that there would be a job called a prompt developer, right? We never had an idea that people would go into these jobs. Did we think that people would take up jobs as influencers? I don't think we did. So things are changing so quickly that we need to change how we think about what this education is and what we're giving. And I think humanities and social sciences is ideally placed to give you that flexibility, that adaptability, that global outlook. And I think that's where our strength really lies.
Thank you so much. Dr. Ali Raza, do you want to add?
I think Dr. Ali Khan made a really kind of like compelling and forceful kind of case for why what we do is important. But also, maybe I can illustrate with a few examples of our students, of our recent kind of like graduates, and what they're doing, just to make this into something that other people can also relate to in a more concrete level. So circling back to what Dr. Tanya Said said a while back, let me just give you a sense of what our history students have been doing for the past 10 years that I've been here. I've been teaching history at LUMS, which is why I can speak best about our history graduates. And in the past 10 years, we have had quite a healthy number of graduates passing out from LUMS in history, and they're doing, two of them are now currently pursuing PhDs in anthropology from Stanford University and Harvard Universities, respectively. And then there are two people I'm thinking of who recently joined McKinsey Consulting. And in between, there are dozens of others who are doing all kinds of work, everything from journalism to screenwriting to even the creative arts, and of course, working for the corporate sector as well. Now, one may ask, and many of them are also pursuing, of course, lest I forget, many of them are also pursuing graduate degrees and PhDs and masters in history too. Now, one may ask, of course, what is it that binds together all of these otherwise very different professions, from the academy to corporate consulting and McKinsey? And the answer, as Dr. Tanya Said said, is the same, which is to say that this is a broad range of skill sets: creative problem solving, critical thinking, excellent expression and presentation skills, as Dr. Ali Khan also mentioned. And they are applicable, they are transferable to a whole range of careers. Does that make you, does that train you to become, I don't know, maybe let's say a chemical engineer? No, because that's a very specific field. But for all other fields, outside of very specific fields, our students do everything in between. And so so it doesn't really matter, in other words, whether you're pursuing like economics or history or sociology and anthropology. Throughout all these years that we have, ever since we have set up these majors, we have found actually our graduates doing pretty much the same things. And when I say the same things, I have in mind a wide range of careers. And it really doesn't matter, in other words, what you do your undergraduate degree in. And so our advice consistently across the years to our students has been very simple. Please pursue subjects, please pursue disciplines, please do your majors in subjects that you are passionate about. Because if you love what you do, you know what? It's also, working also feels a lot less burdensome. Working for something that you love becomes joyful, becomes meaningful, becomes fulfilling. And there's nothing as much of a drag, if I can be a bit informal, as doing things that you're not quite interested in. And yet you are asked to do this. Why? Because somehow there is this promise of a career that's waiting for you on the other side, that compels you to do that particular degree. But guess what? Even your chances in the job market, and whatever career you pursue, and of course your placements in graduate school, they're also tied to academic excellence. And if you love what you do, in other words, you will also excel in it. There are high chances that you will excel in it, and there's no better guarantee of an excellent career, of an excellent graduate school placement, than really kind of excelling at university as well. And again, to reiterate, I sound like a broken record now, I'm sorry, but please do what you're passionate about, and you'll be fine. That's our advice. That's our consistent advice to our students. And guess what? They've all turned out fine. They're doing amazing things all over the world, not just in Pakistan. You can see our job placements there. And you know what? The interesting thing, in all of the big kind of names you see here, very few actually. In fact, none of these kind of job placements are from the management school. These are all entirely from our school. And many of these job placements have gone to students who have majored in, guess what? Majors like English, sociology, anthropology, political science, history, and of course, economics as well. And so that's precisely my point. And I think this slide more or less makes the point that I'm trying to make much better than I can make it. So I think I'll stop here. And maybe there's another question that we could go to. Thanks.
Not a question, but since we are speaking about job placements, there are a few resources that I will be sharing in the chat box, which includes a career handbook and employment data fact sheet. So if any of you can explain how counselors and students can use these tools to make informed decisions.
Well, I can talk a little bit about that. The career handbook talks about, I think what you mentioned is the kind of misinformation that goes around about, or the myths about humanities and social sciences, that, you know, if I go into English, I won't get a job. And that's it's a very strong, powerful message that goes to people before they come to us. But what we've tried to show through hard facts and figures really is that is completely, it's untrue, right? And you'll see the placement rates of students from different schools, from the business school, from the Gurmani school, humanities school, from the law school, and you find that there is no difference. You cannot tell a difference between an accounting major and a history major. Both are getting employed at the same rates, you know, similar levels of salaries, etc. So you know, this whole thing of, oh, I must go into this degree because that's going to get me a good job. That's the kind of the kind of myths that we want broken, because they are plainly untrue and they are damaging, because, you know, it's forcing students to do things that they don't really want to do. The biggest issue that you will have, as Dr. Ali Raza has said, is to end up in a degree that you don't want to do, and then you're going to be, you know, someone who doesn't stand out. It's not, you know, the least important thing that employers are looking at. And again, this is in the careers handbook. This is a huge study that was done across the world, is what your major was in, right? They're not interested in that. They're interested in the transferable skills that you have, and how you're going to grapple with problems that the world faces today. So, you know, I think that is what we're trying to break with this careers handbook, is to show that it really doesn't matter where your major is going to be. Do something that you have a passion for. Show that you're passionate. Show that you want to do something. You want to bring a change. And I think that's what's going to matter most of all. And, you know, I'll take this point to just to emphasize one thing about this school. This is a transformative school, right? 1/3 of all alumni from LUMS over the 40 years are now from the Gurmani school. And half of those people are women, right? No other school affords that kind of gender balance. So you have, you know, 3,000 plus women going into the workplace. 75% of those women are working today, right? The average for graduates, women graduates working in Pakistan, is between 20 and 25%. We're at 75%. Now, I don't need to tell you how much of a change that is going to have on the workplace. And I firmly believe that this is going to be a positive change, and that is going to revolutionize the workplace, which it has started to do. That is what a university wants to do. That is what we want you all to be involved in. You know, so I think that look at the career handbook, use it to educate yourself, use it to educate parents as well, right? I think that's where we lose out most, because our interaction with parents is usually just when they come to drop their kids off in the first year. And in that, we tell them, but it's something we have to reiterate, because in Pakistan and in many other countries, there remain these myths that, okay, you have to become a doctor or an engineer or, you know, an accountant if you want to make anything of your life. And that is patently untrue. And you don't have to listen to us for that. You can do the research and you're going to find pretty much the same stuff. But what we have done is put all the research in one and left it there for you to read. It's not too long, but all the information is there.
Can I answer a question that's come up in the chat box?
Yes, sure, please.
So the question is, thank you, Mariam Ibrahim, for asking this question. Which subject in social sciences is more important?
More important, yeah.
Yes, if I could just rephrase the question, it would be, which subject in the social sciences interests you? I think that's the most important question to ask. So as I said, I'll say it again. When we found this across the years, your success, your post-graduation success is not tied to the major you do at LUMS or any university around the world, in fact.
Mhm.
It's tied to how well you do what you do. And so what I would ask again is for this question to be revised in the following way. Which subject do I, if Mariam Ibrahim is a student, which subject do I, Mariam Ibrahim, find more interesting? And guess what? You know what? You may come to LUMS. I hope to see many of you there. And if you do come to LUMS, please say hello to us. Please, and again, also thank you for adding this to the chat. Which social science field is more relevant? And again, I have the same answer. And the answer is this, that we teach a range of disciplines and subjects, and there's no kind of like distinction between what is more relevant and what is less relevant. And what we are trying to make a pitch for is that the broad range of skill sets that we equip our students with, those skill sets, they enable students best, we feel, to navigate what is an increasingly, troublesome, of course, but also very rapidly changing and transforming world. It's very difficult to say, for example, for example, when I was in college, which is many years back, there were certain subjects that felt relevant given the economy at the time, but we don't live in that economy anymore. And so really to say that what would be more relevant now, given the circumstances we are in, that world may have changed entirely in 10 years. And so, which is why we feel that it's important for students to get a broad-based education. And it doesn't matter if you're majoring in economics, let's say. All we ask is that you also take corresponding courses in the humanities, for example, like history, like anthropology, like English, and so on, because that gives you that broad range of skill sets that help you navigate what is an increasingly rapidly changing and a transforming world. But B, I will also say again, if I can reiterate the question, what is it that interests me, what I want to do? And you know what? If you come to LUMS, maybe the first thing that you will discover is that, you know what, you take a class in, let's say, religion or philosophy or anthropology, and you say that, hey, you know what, I never knew this, but guess what? I just love this subject. And we have students all the time who come in thinking that they would be majoring in, let's say, economics and mathematics, only to find that they walked away with a degree in anthropology and sociology. That happens. I mean, that happens all the time, and I hope that happens with incoming students as well. And so, yeah, if you're here, please say hello to us.
If I can just add quickly to what Ali Raza was saying, I was recently talking to a graduate from the school who actually did philosophy. And I think in a couple of months, he'll be joining a consultancy firm. So really the major, you'd think that, okay, philosophy, what does he have to do with consultancy, etc. But, all you're really, they're going to be asking you is, do you have a passion? Do you have a work ethic? Do you, can you explain why is it that you took what you took, right? I mean, that is really important. No one is going to ask you what was the content of your courses. It's the decisions that you make. And if your answer is going to be, look, I took this, major because my parents told me to do it, or my brother told me to do it, or my elder sister told me to do it, you're not getting the job, right? Because you don't know how to make decisions yourself then. So it's time to move away from that. And as we've all been saying, find what it is that you want to do it, and stick to that and enjoy what you're doing.
Thank you so much for all these answers. I think what Dr. Ali Raza was saying, Madiha has commented that as a coordinator, I've seen even my medical or science students take up social sciences in A levels now, so they can get a wide array of skill set that a college in future can support them further. So that's great to know, Madiha. I think there was just one more question in the chat above from a student, I believe. Let me just read that out. I think Mohammed Sudais asked that what about political science? Because I'm applying for LUMS with major of political science. Can someone guide about their careers? I think our speakers have already touched upon the employability aspect, and we will be sharing the resources, which I think you will be finding very helpful. I am very mindful of the time. If I can request the speakers, I understand that the admission details in the school are already mentioned on the website, but if it can be briefly touched upon, with there has been a lot of talk about skills that you're looking for, and of course, students have to be passionate about what they are doing. And but if someone can briefly touch upon the admissions aspect as well, please.
So, I mean, most of the details are there in on the screen itself. I mean, what I would suggest is that, you know, if you want to do well in a humanities and social sciences, you do need to have, you know, relatively good writing skills. You do need to be someone who's going to read. I mean, if you come in and say, oh, well, this is too much reading for me, you're going to struggle in humanities and social sciences. So I think that it is really important that you have that desire to take up a subject in humanities and social sciences. A lot of people do come with science backgrounds, but many of them have still got an interest in humanities and social sciences, may have done it at an earlier level, whether it's at O level or the equivalent of the O level. So you do need to have a genuine interest. If you have no interest in humanities and social sciences, then I think it's going to be an uphill struggle, really. So you need to have some interest and aptitude for this. Otherwise, the admissions process is pretty standard. You want to do well in your A levels, you want to do well in your O levels. The various tests that you take, the LCAT or the SAT, you do need to reach minimum benchmarks, which do change from year to year because of the quality of the intake, which will vary from time to time as well.
Thank you so much, Dr. Khan. So we have almost moved towards the end of our session, and it will be great if we can take a few questions from the chat. If anybody wants to open up their mic and ask a question, you can use the raise hand option first, and then we can allow you to speak up as well. In the meantime, we will start taking questions from the chat. So there's a question from Rania Shan. Please tell us what you look in a future LUMS social science school applicant.
Maybe I can take that. And also the question before that, which Maheen Imran asked about sociology and anthropology, if you've taken physics, maths, and CS.
Sure, yes.
In O levels.
Yes, please.
So, I mean,
yeah.
Listen, this, I think it's been reiterated throughout this webinar that we're looking for students who are genuinely interested and genuinely curious. And that's something, even if you've taken physics, maths, and CS, or if you're, I mean, if any other subject, when you apply, you have a personal statement, you can clearly, we can see reading that personal statement, what you're actually interested in. And when you come to LUMS in the first year, at least in the humanities and social sciences, you have a year to decide to declare your major. And that's when we encourage students to take different courses. There are different introductory courses. There are students who, I mean, like Maheen, have never studied sociology or anthropology. They are physics CS students, and they take the subject. And actually, a lot of them, a lot of our students, for instance, decide that this is something they want to pursue. So and that's when towards the end of the first year, they declare their major then. So you always have, you know, if you're curious, if you want to learn, as I said, first year at LUMS is the perfect opportunity to try different courses, different subjects, and then really decide what you really want to pursue. And you should be open to different disciplines at that stage. And also later, I mean, the way the LUMS degree is also organized, you do have opportunities to take different courses outside your major as well. So if you are curious, there are minors that you can do, but also take subjects from and courses from other schools. So you will get that, that level of an education across multidisciplinary education across different schools as well when you're at LUMS. As far as, and this also, I mean, this in a way also answers what we're looking for in a LUMS social science applicant. But I would suggest, especially in school right now, if you're not reading, and this is something that comes up with my students, if you're finding shortcuts to do your readings, or if you're looking for shortcuts, I would strongly discourage you from doing that. Read. Just train yourself to read. There's a way you can train yourself to read. You read a page, read 2 pages, just get into the habit of reading. And honestly, I mean, Chat GPT and all these sort of AI whatever systems we have, they can only take you so far. It actually becomes a crutch in the end, and it becomes an impediment to learning if you really want to truly discover and understand what you're reading, and if you really want to obviously develop your critical faculties as well. So the one thing I would encourage, if you're looking to apply to our program, start reading. Don't avoid shortcuts. Develop that habit, and you will really enjoy your undergrad degree at LUMS. Then I'm going to stop.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tanya. So there are more questions pouring in. We'll just take a few of them. Why should a student choose social sciences over computer science in today's AI-driven world?
I can answer that.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Because AI will also replace computer scientists.
More quickly, in fact.
Yes.
Okay. Sir, could you please talk a little bit about politics and economics? I think this question is from a student, perhaps.
Well, I mean, I can say a little bit about it. It's an interdisciplinary major, which, as its name suggests, has elements of both economics and politics. It is a very popular major as well. It gives you a broad kind of base in both these disciplines. But, I would again say that I mean, you should be interested in both of these if you want to consider it. I was purposely not going into, okay, well, if you do this, you can end up with a job and whatever. A lot of those who do take politics and economics opt to do the civil service and go into the civil service, and we have a very good placement as far as that is concerned. But again, I mean, these questions about particular majors,
Yes.
if you have an interest in them, that is the most important thing. And I can't tell you whether you should take one or the other. You should read a little bit about the blurb and see what it is that interests you about the major, and then accordingly. And then, as Dr. Tanya was saying, you sample these courses in your first year. You see, is it something that I expected? Is it something that I'm interested in? Is it something that I have an aptitude for? And then you decide whether you want to declare it at the end of the first year. So you have enough time to think about this before committing to it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ali Khan, for the answer. And I would also like to thank Dr. Tanya, Dr. Ali Raza. Thank you so much. I'm mindful of the time. I'm also thankful to all the participants who are posting the questions. I'm sure you can find more information about the programs that are being offered by LUMS on their website. So please go through that. We will be sharing the resources. We have shared them in the chat, but I think some of you are unable to access them. So we will also email these resources to all of you along with the recording of the session. So with that, I would like to close the session, and I would like to thank and share a very heartfelt thank you to our faculty for LUMS for sharing all their insights and the skills that are required to get admissions into LUMS, specifically into the School of Humanities. We hope that this session helps our attendees better understand the role of humanities and social sciences in shaping future ready graduates, especially in an AI-driven world. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we look forward to welcoming you again at our next webinar. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.